We have our stand over here, and our feeder is right here. And they allow it in certain parts of Pennsylvania where we don't have huge tracts of land to use these feeders that are on timers so that we can kind of draw the deer off of the private property where you can't hunt. And goes off a couple times a day. The stand's right over here. Got a nice, 25-yard shot right there.
Coming down here because it's a little open.
We're going to start out really the first encounter that we had. Well, we should talk about.
We had a list of bucks this year. Curly was on there, and Crab Claw 7 was another one.
Right.
We had Wave Runner.
His
brow tines kind of waved to the side. And then we had Blade, because on one side he had a blade, which was really kind of cool. Out of those 4, Curly, Crab Claw 7, Wave Runner, and Blade.
They were the decent shooters.
Curly was the better.
Curly was the big. He had curly brow tines that curled to the outside. And actually, one was.
That's how we told them apart.
And they appreciate those names, But actually, I had an encounter with Curly early on.
There's a big buck down there in the corner. There he is. He's really nice. I'm gonna try to grunt.
He came out with a bunch of does about 200 yards out from the stand.
I think he sees the decoy.
I had brought a decoy early that year. That was September 30th when I had this one.
He didn't like that, darn it. Wow, that's weird. He did not like that grunt. That's good to know.
He did not like that grunt. And I remember, oh man, he's scared of the grunt. Well, that's good to know. Well, here's my food plot that I just planted a week ago. We've got some little growth coming in. I've never done a food plot before, so it's very small. Hopefully the deer will stay out of it and let it grow. And it'll keep them here during the winter. I almost had a shot of doe. This is in that new food plot that I planted. Man, it's plush, it's looking good. I got the blind over there, the blind's looking good. And I was running late after work. I said, I'm gonna go jump in that blind. It's real close to the house. I'm gonna get in that blind and I'll hunt the food plot. I had a good wind for it. So I jump in. I mean, as soon as I zipped up the door, from getting in, they pop out, man. And they're on the opposite side.
That's how they do
and they're starting to eat, and they're coming over, and I'm setting up everything, and now they're starting to get close to the edge of the window, and I'm going, uh-oh. And then finally I can see the big doe is getting past the window, of my shot in the blind, so I kind of bleated at her to try to stop her. And of course she took off running, and the does, other smaller does took off running, and they never came back. But man, it was so perfect. She gave me this broadside shot that if I could have been ready.
All right, it's October 24th. We're out here in Bucks County, Pennsylvania. We saw a big guy out there. We call him the Blade. There's a couple other big ones out here that we'll take. We haven't been seeing a whole lot of them though during the daylight. This is how you get the big one. Kind of gamble a little bit.
My trigger finger's getting itchy. It's getting itchy now. And I had this big 6 come out. It reminded me of that 6 I would have taken last year. But his rack wasn't as big, but it was a very similar rack. Had to be from the same gene pool, that's for sure. Big old body, he's walking in.
We have a lot of big body.
You know what it is?
deer.
We got farm fields all around here.
Yeah.
These deer are fed so well. I don't even need a food
corn.
plot. He comes circling around and he's posturing in front of this other forker buck, you know, and just giving me all kind of shots. And my finger, I'm scratching it. No, you're not shooting. You're not shooting. You know? It was so itchy. But I held out. And then we started having more encounters with Curly. He crosses in front of me like a good 50, 60 yards. But he goes right into the woods right there. He crosses that hidden field and goes into the woods. You know, then I grunted. I grunted at him again, forgetting what I learned the first time, that he doesn't like the grunt, and he didn't come to the grunt. He never came to that grunt.
All right, it's November 9th. We got in a little late, and we spooked about 10 does. And we're using a decoy. We got old Jake out there.
The next encounter that I had was with Blade. He was probably the smallest of the
But he was really interesting. His one main beam was bladed, and that's really cool.
And he had a real big body again.
Yeah.
He was back into the woods and brought him up, and he came right up, and there's corn there, came right up to the edge, and I'm getting ready. I'm going to take Blade. You know, he's a decent deer. But he gets up to the edge, and he turns to the left, and he stays in the woods, and he never comes out to the decoy. And then I started wondering about the decoy. You know, is that scaring him now? Because we're in the rut now. You know, maybe I'll just forget the decoy. So then I don't have the decoy, and I have another encounter with Curly.
Okay, he's still there. Oh, there he is. I don't know if that's Curly or not. I think it is.
30 yards, he's coming from just like Blade did, really. And I'm thinking, okay, good, I don't have the decoy there. Maybe he'll come into the corn. He comes right up to the edge, and I'm thinking, I could shoot him there, but I'm trying to maneuver myself. You'll see me bouncing around a little bit to get maneuvered, because I want to get ready to shoot him.
Looks like he's coming up here.
Comes right to the edge of the field. The corn's right there, but this is the rut. They're not that interested in eating. They don't eat much during the rut. It's weird.
Yeah.
So he comes up to the edge of the woods, and I'm just waiting. He stands behind this tree for the longest time, waiting for him to step into the corn this way, and he goes the other way and walks down.
Yeah, for no apparent reason. I remember seeing
there was nothing there to scare him out of the way. He didn't know I was there. It was just he just has that sixth sense that he says, I'm not going to step out into that field yet.
Something doesn't feel right.
But we're in the rut, you know?
We got a buck right where we pulled in to go hunting. And it seems like he might have a doe in there that he's after. Mike, you think that this is Curly?
I think so. But I don't know how we're going to sneak up on him.
Heading toward the neighboring property, and they have quite a long driveway, and there's a deer standing in the sunlight right
next to the driveway.
And he's just beautiful. What do we do, babe?
Let's see what he does.
It's really pretty.
Got a dark rack.
That's why we love the rut, because they do stupid things.
He was just, right in broad daylight.
And we didn't know what to do.
We didn't spook him or nothing.
And then he ducks into that little woods. So we drove by and we went, we don't see you, man. We're just driving home from work. You see him looking, he's going, are you guys hunters or are they workers?
And he's real close up, beautiful.
So then we stop on the other side of the driveway, and we're going, let's do a stalk on him. I'm hoping when he's out in the field. Well, I can shoot through the hedgerow, but there's nothing there. I think he was watching me from the far woods going, kick this guy out. He thinks I'm still there. Is he an idiot? But anyway, then after that, I'm in the blind by myself, and this encounter with this smart doe was so incredible. She comes out there with her yearling, and I've seen these. She's like
been around for a long time.
Yeah, and she's so smart. She's the kind of doe
had trouble with her.
You want to get rid of her because she's going to blow your hunt if she comes around. Because she knows how to get downwind. She knows how to detect motion.
She scares everybody away from us.
She's so good. She's probably 5-6-year-old doe. You don't know. And then I'm thinking, this deer is bothering me. I'm gonna shoot her. She's getting me mad now. She just won't leave me alone, you know. You're not gonna shoot her that easy. Then another day goes by. You're with me again. We're up in a tree. We see Curly again. Another encounter. He's way off, about 200 yards. You can see him just through the trees.
Slowly making his way.
But then something spooked a doe.
No,
maybe they winded us. I don't know.
Yeah, she's pretty
The doe
far.
takes off running.
And he follows.
And scares him back into the woods. So we don't, again, the sixth scent. The next stand we got, I'm up in our property, but I got this same doe. This smart doe comes in with the yearling. And now I'm up high. I'm in the tower blind. She gives me this great shot, and arrow goes right through. She goes into the woods, but she was 20 yards in, and we found her pretty quick.
So now the pressure of her is off.
Good sized doe, huh?
Yeah, tagging his kill.
Got meat in the freezer. We don't have a buck yet, but archery season's over. So I'm getting out there early, man. I'm ready. I got a shotgun now. I can reach out. I get out there in the dark, setting up the camera and everything all by myself. All of a sudden, I see these deer coming in. And I see their silhouettes coming in. I could tell one's a nice buck. And it looks like he's chasing a doe. And they're coming right at me. The doe goes underneath me, and I'm afraid she's gonna go on the other side of me, and the wind's blowing that way. But she stops, and I'm afraid she's gonna blow it, you know? She finally moves up a little more, and he wants to stay in between her and those other bucks. And he jumps out into that field, and there he is. And it must have been 35, 40 yards. I could have sneaked and shot him with a bow and arrow, you know? But I shot him with the shotgun, and boy, it knocked him sideways, you know? I would have loved to have gotten him with a bow, but it was just great to harvest Curly after all those encounters that we had. There he is. What do you think, babe? High five? Yeah. This guy's been outsmarting me for 2.5 months. He's been very stealth and nocturnal and always picking the stands that I would not pick. And now, I'm the cameraman.
So now it's my turn. I'm out here looking for maybe any decent buck that presents itself. I'll probably take.
This is the same day. I just shot Curly.
In the morning.
In the morning.
And we're hunting at night. In the evening hunt.
So tell him, babe.
So we hunt our property down in the tower blind. We see a short tine 8 come in.
He's pretty nice.
Should I shoot him?
Yeah, I think so.
Are you gonna range it?
Oh, no. That's 25, go ahead.
Okay.
Whenever you're ready.
That might go over.
It's okay.
Why did it go over?
I don't know.
I released the arrow from my crossbow, and to my surprise, the arrow flew about 1 foot over his back.
Had to be that
Without
high.
him ducking.
Without him ducking.
Yeah, which they normally do.
I mean, he looked up and went, come on.
Actually, it kind of startled him. He ran away, and then he kind of came back because, you know, he didn't feel that threatened, I guess. But I was like shocked. I didn't know what to think.
That's 50 yards right there.
I can't see him from here.
No,
I can't see him at all. I can barely see her. She's over on the edge of the window for me. I never did get that second shot.
But boy, he was coming back. wasn't he?
Yeah, in retrospect, you think, it all happened for a reason.
I'll tell you what, I'm so
Because
glad.
the crossbow, something had happened. You had examined it after the hunt, and what did you find?
We always shoot it before we take it out. And we had just shot it right before my trip to Ohio. And it was
Right.
shooting great.
But you
I
took it on your trip,
I took it
yeah.
on my trip as a backup. You know, we had it in the back of a little 4x8 cargo trailer, a lot of vibration. And man, I learned a big lesson. You got to check out all your equipment when you get it out of those
Especially
trailers.
after a
'cause
trip, yeah.
the scope was messed up. I'm trying to mess with the back where the scope mounts, and sure enough, it's moving. So I go to my bow case, and there's a screw right at the
So
bottom.
it wasn't me, folks.
So I screwed it back in, we tightened it up, I put it on boom, but man, it's shooting great.
Darn.
And we could have had a buck on the same
Same
day,
day.
her biggest buck, and
Oh.
Curly.
It's okay. It's okay. It's going to happen.
Whenever you're out in God's great outdoors, Romans 1:20 says he's clearly seen by the things that are made. So you're always learning something about God out there. But one thing did stick out to me as I was looking back over the videos, you know, the video clips, when I had my first encounter with Curly, I grunted at him a couple times, and I noticed that it scared him, and he ran away. And even on the video, I said, well, that's good to know. And then afterwards, I had several other encounters with him. And what did I do? I kept grunting at him. I forgot what I had taught myself, that he doesn't like the grunt. I did end up getting Curly, you know, during shotgun season. But if I would have remembered what I had taught myself, then I probably would have had a shot at him with a bow, which, you know, I really prefer. Look at James 1:22 through 25. He says, do not merely listen to the word and so deceive yourselves. Do what it says. Anyone who listens to the word but does not do what it says is like a man who looks at his face in a mirror and after looking at himself goes away and immediately forgets what he looks like. But the man who looks intently into the perfect law that gives freedom and continues to do this, not forgetting what he has heard, but doing it, he will be blessed in what he does. And also in Proverbs 22, verse 17, it says, pay attention and listen to the sayings of the wise. Apply your heart to what I teach. Apply your heart to what I teach. So, you know, I've heard it said that first you have to gain knowledge, and knowledge is basically learning about things. Then you need wisdom, and wisdom is knowing how to apply those certain things when and where they need to be applied. But there's one other thing else that you need. You need discretion. And discretion is actually choosing to do with the knowledge and wisdom what you should do, when you should do it. That's discretion. See, a lot of people, they have wisdom, they have knowledge, but they choose not to follow it. King Solomon was that perfect person. He was the wisest man that's ever existed. And yet he did terrible things. He had to learn by his mistakes. It was amazing. But he did learn by his mistakes. But he didn't have discretion for many years in his life, even though he had the knowledge and the wisdom to know what to do. He chose not to do it. You know, Jesus says, unless you abide in me and my words abide in you, you can do nothing. And that's in John 15:5. If you want to be able to do the word, that you know. You got to get it in your heart, as that Proverbs 22 passage talked about. It's got to go from your head to your heart. And that's the job of the Holy Spirit, that we need to give him that ability to do that. We need to meditate on his word, but get it into our heart. Let the Spirit of God dwell in us. You know, there's a great passage in Scripture that says that God is in me, both to will and to do of his good pleasure. He gets all the glory. We can do nothing without trusting in him, the author and the finisher of our faith, Jesus Christ.